Wave to your people. Wave to your people.
Hi, people.
Good evening. I hope everybody is doing amazing. Thanks for joining us for our second community event. We're hoping to do more of these. Please spread the word and bring more people because we want everyone to get the message of health. I'm Amanda Decker. I'm a local nurse practitioner here in the Dickson, Tennessee area. For those of you who are online, that's in Middle Tennessee, about an hour west of Nashville. I've been in primary care for 20 years and have a wealth of experience and a little bit about everything, but the last 10 years has been dedicated to helping people regain their health, feel good, lose weight, or optimize their metabolic health. So if you're in the room, and I guess if you're online, you can answer this question too. How many of you have felt misled or lied to by the providers that you've seen in the past?
That's
Also a lot of people. So I have to tell you, I don't know that it's their fault. I don't know that most of the time they do that intentionally, because for the first 10 years of my career, the advice that I gave people did not generally make them healthy. And by I got to the middle of my career, I realized that the advice I was giving was not grand advice. And I had to go back and relearn and learn how to do things differently. Providers go into medicine because they want to help people. I don't think that any of us went through all that schooling or education for the money, because trust me, it hasn't been there for me yet, but it's because we want to help people. We want to see people get better. How many of you have felt listened to and thoroughly heard by your providers? Okay, one person, but she doesn't count. Okay, how many people before 3 months ago felt listened to and thoroughly heard by your providers? No? Okay, one. In the traditional medical model, it's not set up to help people feel heard. It's set up to quickly diagnose, quickly give an answer, and quickly get the people out of the office. That's the only way business can be happening. Because I didn't have time to research and give adequate knowledge to my clients, because I did not have the time to sit down and thoroughly hear my clients, I left that traditional model and went a different direction so that each and every encounter could be focused on the individual to give them the adequate information that they need to change their lives. I've been that patient in the past who didn't feel heard, and it didn't feel good. I've been the patient in the past who the only solution that my provider could give me ended in a prescription. And it didn't feel good as a patient, and it didn't feel good as a provider either, to have every solution end in a prescription. So I'm dedicated to using whatever's left of my career to doing things differently. And if you need a healthcare provider to partner with you, to hear you, to spend time with you, it would be my honor and my privilege, myself and my team, to be there for you. So check us out at clearpathmedical.net, and you can email us at contact@clearpathmedical.net if you want to find out more about our practice. Open to any type of questions that you have tonight. If I don't want to answer it, I'll make him do it.
Hello, everyone. I am Ken Berry. I'm a family physician, and I've been practicing for over 22 years, so I've got her beat. Barely, yeah. And what she said is exactly correct. I can remember early in my medical practice, I didn't understand how a medical visit could end without a prescription. That was the cherry on top. And you had to have that, or what had you done? So I had a similar epiphany to Amanda and went back and relearned everything. And the path I chose, a little different from hers, I figured out that by making a video that people could watch anytime they're ready, day or night, 24/7, I could actually help more people more than seeing people all day, every day in the clinic. Because really, having good, vibrant health boils down to just a few key principles. And once you understand those principles and a few basic facts about food that you should eat and junk that you should not eat, everything else kind of falls in line. And so the model I chose is education. Mass media, I'm just going to educate you, and then you can go and you can do it yourself because you're a smart person. If if you're able to drive here tonight, you're smart enough to eat a proper human diet. You don't have to have a PhD or an MD or be a registered dietitian to do this. You just have to know a few key principles. And so that's what I teach on my YouTube channel. Hey, Chris, there's Chris Cooking Nashville. If you guys want some keto and carnivore recipes, Chris Cooking Nashville on YouTube cannot be beat. So I'm happy to, how do we want to do this? Do you guys?
I think let's open it up to their questions,
Yeah,
and then we'll
yeah.
stop and take some questions from
Yeah.
Nisha and
So
Lori.
we're live here on the internet, and we'll take questions from them. We'll take questions from you. And what I try to do is when I answer your question, I try to answer it in such a way that I answer four other people's questions that didn't even know they had a question. And so feel free to ask any questions you have, and we'll just keep talking until we see a hand go up. But feel free to raise your hand at any time. If you're like, oh, I got a question, just raise it up, and we will answer your question. So all of you guys have been misled about food, what you should eat and what you shouldn't. Now, some of this misleading was well-intentioned, and it was done by your grandmama and your mama and your aunt who said, oh, honey, you should eat this, you should eat that. They didn't know better. They didn't have a PhD, or they were not a registered dietitian. They were just repeating what their grandma taught them, or what they saw on TV, or what they saw in a Good Housekeeping magazine. Now, that's one kind of misleading, which is honest, unintentional. But the one that really makes me mad is the intentional, profit-driven misleading that you guys have all been indoctrinated with tens of thousands of commercials and magazine ads saying breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and whole grain goodness, and low fat, fat-free, no cholesterol. And you were trained, some people would say propagandized, to believe, oh, I just need to not eat any bacon at all because it's got cholesterol and saturated fat. I should eat this granola, or eat this bowl of cornflakes, or eat this 100-calorie SnackWell bar because it's low in calories, it's fat-free, and it has no cholesterol. And based on that intentional misleading from the big food manufacturers, we now have an epidemic of obesity, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, chronic joint pain, chronic skin conditions, chronic gut conditions. All of that's caused by the food. It's not even actually food, it's pseudo food, frankenfood. That you were trained, this is what you should eat. You should avoid this meat and these eggs. They're full of fat and cholesterol. You should eat this ground up wheat, rice, oats, corn. That's really healthy. And now we have a chronic disease epidemic, the likes of which humanity has never seen in our history. In Tennessee, something like 30% of children are overweight and obese. What about adults? What do you think the percentage is that are overweight or obese?
40%.
60 and up. 6 out of 10 adult Tennesseans are either overweight or obese. So you can't say, well, it's all their fault. They're just gluttons. You can't say that when it's 60%, 65% of the adult population. You can't really blame it on them at that point. There's got to be something wrong with the system. Does that make sense? And that's why I started speaking out and will continue to speak out, because people are being misled, intentionally misled, not only to take your money for a product that's not even worth the money, but then you wind up with chronic disease that you got to go get prescriptions for, which don't reverse the condition. They don't heal the condition. They just manage the condition. So you have to go to the pharmacy every 30 days, every 90 days. Go to the doctor every 3 months, every 6 months. You ain't getting none out of that because nobody's curing you. You still got all the stuff you had to start with, but everybody else has got their copays, didn't they? Now, I agree with her. I don't think the doctors are part of this. I think they're caught right in the middle. They're too in debt to get out and do what Amanda's done. They're too scared to get on YouTube and do what I've done. But they know, every doctor at this point's got to know what I'm doing is not helping. I'm just a cog in the machine. I'm just seeing patients, writing prescriptions. I can tell you guys, the first 5 years of my practice, I never ever saw somebody reverse type 2 diabetes, because I was teaching them the old way. Follow the American Diabetes Association and take these 2 prescriptions. Well, they kept having diabetes for decades. Only when I started teaching this new way did people come in and their type 2 diabetes was gone. It was gone. They didn't have it anymore. Now I'm a country boy. And either something works or it don't work. It's just that simple, right? Either you're getting better or you're getting worse. And so I chose the model, the method where you actually get better. Because that's what I'd be all about. If I had type 2 diabetes, I would want it to go away. I wouldn't want to have it anymore. I wouldn't want to manage it for 30 years and then go blind and have to be on dialysis and lose a toe and lose a foot and have a heart attack and wind up in the nursing home. I'd like to just not have type 2 diabetes, thank you. Yes, sir.
Is there a new diabetes association you mentioned before? I can't remember what.
Yeah, so there is a new diabetes society that increasingly doctors are turning to for ways to treat their patients, and increasingly patients are turning to for recipes, for advice. It's called the American Diabetes Society. And I'm actually one of the founding members. Me and a group of MDs and PhDs and a registered dietitian got together and founded the American Diabetes Society, because if you follow the American Diabetes Association and their handouts and their recipes, you will always have type 2 diabetes. Always. You will never reverse it. You'll be on more and more and more medication until you have a diabetes complication. And so all of us knew that you can reverse it. All of us in this society. And so we said, why not form a society and let's spread the word. Because the American Diabetes Association was founded in 1939 by 6 doctors who got together and said, hey, let's form an association. That's all we did. But when you listen to our advice, your A1C goes down and your blood sugar goes down without medication. And it stays down. It stays normal for the rest of your life. And I think for most people, especially common sense people, they'd be like, so I don't have to take medicine and I don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. Correct. I think most people would opt for that. Yes. Thanks for the question. Any other questions about anything medical, anything nutrition? We can talk about politics a little bit, but not too much because we're in mixed company. Yes, ma'am.
So my 86-year-old dad has osteoporosis. He also has a condition now that the back of his tongue does not, like it's that part that doesn't close. So when he chews and swallows, he will choke.
Yep.
So my mom is having to basically liquefy,
Yep.
add thickener and water to his meals.
Yep.
He has never been over 129 pounds at 6'2". He is now probably about 6 foot, but it's more of a volume issue now that he's having to eat this large amount because he doesn't want to be put on a feeding tube.
Yeah.
And so he's gotten down to 113 pounds, but I have a feeling it's because he's not eating enough protein.
100%.
How much should he be eating to maintain that 129 or 125 to
Yep.
129? Because he's wanting to get hip replacement, and I'm concerned that with the osteoporosis and not having enough protein, that it's going to shatter his femur.
Yeah. So the question for people online is, her dad, is that right? Yeah, has a swallowing condition, so he gets choked with eating solid food, so they have to liquefy and add thickeners and stuff like that. And he's lost a lot of weight, and she suspects a lot of it is muscle loss. And I would also say bone loss as well, because he also has osteoporosis. So in a case like his, every bit of food that goes into his mouth should be very nutrient dense. It should be full of protein, full of real vitamins and real minerals. What is the most nutrient dense food that a human can eat? Does anybody know? Meat. meat and eggs with the yolk. That is, and so a lot of people think kale's a superfood or blueberries are a superfood. But when you actually look up how much protein, how much vitamins, minerals in kale versus just cheap ground beef from what's the discount grocery here? What's it called? Save-A-Lot? Y'all got to Save-A-Lot?
It's close, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. But just the cheap ground beef has more nutrition in it than kale or than the Glucerna or the Ensure that they're going to try to get him to drink to gain weight, because the only weight he's going to gain with Ensure or some kind of pre-prepared prescription drink like that is fat. That's all he's going to gain. He's not going to gain any muscle from that. He's not going to gain any bone strength. So for him, keep in mind, you can put anything into a Magic Bullet or a Ninja, anything. You can put an ounce of beef liver and 3 ounces of ground beef and 3 egg yolks and frappe that. There's you a meat shake.
Or heavy whipping cream.
Yeah, heavy whipping cream, and then you can titrate the egg yolks and the whipping cream until you get it just the consistency that he needs. That everything I just said to put in that is nutrient dense, and it's going to nourish his body, because a lot of his weight loss is muscle loss, because he's probably not very active, but also he's eating a very low protein shake diet. Yeah.
Very active still.
Beautiful, beautiful. So when you start this kind of shakes for him, he's going to naturally add back 5 to 10 pounds of muscle and bone strength, okay? Did you know the human bone is 50% protein? Everybody thinks bones are made of calcium. That's not true. Your bone is 50%. It looks like under a microscope, it looks like a sponge made of protein. Where do you get protein from? Meat and eggs. Any kind of protein that you get from a plant is not absorbed as well as animal protein. I don't care what the vegans say. It's not. It's just not. Our bodies are made to digest and use protein from meat and eggs. Fish, seafood. That's real protein that helps build muscle and build bones. So that's going to help if he's still very active. That high protein meat and eggs is going to help him rebuild bone strength and help him rebuild muscle. And it's going to decrease his risk of dementia, because he's getting all the vitamins and minerals and fatty acids that his brain needs. If you can figure out some way to make that okay with him, that would be 1,000 times healthier for him than Ensure or Glucerna or some junk like that. Basically, Ensure is junk food. It's a melted milkshake junk food is what it is. It's full of sugar and canola oil. Ensure is not a health food. So if any of you guys have an elderly person you love that drinks their Ensure every day for nutrition and protein, that is not the way. That's another big food company cashing in by misleading you about what's really healthy and what's not healthy. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
On the subject of osteoporosis, I just had a Dickson scan done, and I showed symptoms are not in very good shape. It's fine. So immediately the doctor, I haven't taken any test that certain calcium or got some kind of bone up, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Anyway, immediately he wants me to go on Actina.
Yep.
Biphosphonate. He says if even if I roll over the bed, I might crack my spine. So
Yep.
I'm kind of concerned about, don't know what you would think about this type of a medicine.
Yeah.
Or
So our friend, who's a lady in her late 30s, said,
me?
yeah. Has osteoporosis, and her doctor said if you roll out of bed wrong, you might crack a bone. I'm going to start you on Actonil, which is an osteoporosis medication. There's also Fosamax and Boniva and several others. So the research shows that those kinds of medications help a little bit up to 12 to 18 months. So yeah, take the Actonil. But don't be under the impression that that's going to cure your osteoporosis. It will increase your bone density, but it will not increase necessarily your bone strength. Those are two different things. And there's a long story behind why doctors measure bone density and not bone strength. So take the Actonil, that's fine. But follow the instructions carefully because it'll cause terrible heartburn if you don't. Okay? But keep in mind your bones are 50% protein. You need to be eating meat and eggs with the yolk daily. That's the first half of keeping your bones strong. The second half is, do you know what the second half is? Exercise. Exercise. You need to be going for walks. You need to be lifting weights. Whatever's heavy for you. Currently, that might be 2 1-pound dumbbells or 2 cans of cream corn that you're not going to eat because you found out about keto and carnivore. So you might as well turn them into weights. You can lift them, right? You can do your weights. And then you can go to Sam's Club and buy the big 32-ounce can of cream corn. That could be your bigger weights, right? But you're never going to eat that because you know better now. And if you're starving, if the apocalypse, you could eat the cream corn, but otherwise I wouldn't recommend it. But you need to lift heavy things, whatever that means for you personally, and you need to eat your meat and eggs. Seafood's fine as well, every single day. And
Grass-fed eggs every morning.
every morning, I love it, love it, love it. Where do you get your grass-fed eggs?
A man that is in my husband's church.
Yeah.
Free-range eggs.
Yeah, so she gets her eggs from a friend at church who's got chickens in the backyard.
That's right.
That's the healthiest kind of egg you can get. Excellent, excellent.
Some of what her doctor told her, though, is fear-mongering a little bit. Because
Explain.
if your bones are so thin that if you roll over in bed and it breaks, Actonel's not the first-line drug for that. It's way past that. Some of that is just fear-mongering that's there. The other thing is they probably told you to take calcium for your thin bones. Well, if you're not taking vitamin D with some K2 to make sure your calcium's going where you need it, then you're just going to end up with more calcium in your arteries and renal stones. So honestly, I don't use calcium in my patients with osteoporosis or osteopenia anymore. It's a vitamin D, vitamin K2, heavy meat diet, like he says, lots of exercise. But some of that was fear mongering. If it was really that severe, that's the total wrong medication to be using.
Yeah. Now, fear mongering is a strong word.
It is.
But it's appropriate. But let me ask all you guys, do you think that her doctor is shady or evil or in on the conspiracy? No, he's just a dude just like everybody in this room. Doctors are just dudes and chicks. They're not special. They got bills to
I'm
pay.
special.
She is. She's a little special. And I'm definitely special. So they got bills to pay. They got their spouse yelling at them. They got employees they got to pay. They got to keep the lights on. They're behind on their reading most of the time. And they also don't think you're going to do what they tell them. They're afraid you're not going to take your prescription. You're not going to follow up. And so they use fear very often to motivate you to take that prescription. But the information he gave you is very incomplete. It's not in any way going to cure your osteoporosis. Amanda and I have seen people completely reverse their osteoporosis back to normal bone strength. Lots of meat and eggs with the yolk, lots of exercise and heavy lifting, starting out light and slowly getting heavier. And vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. Beautiful. We've seen, go watch my osteoporosis videos on YouTube and read the comments. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people now have a normal bone scan because they did those things. But the Actonil might slow down your loss of bone density, which is different than strength. But it's never going to cure your osteoporosis. There's only one person in the world that can cure your osteoporosis, and that's you. By doing the things that I told you to do. But I'm not going to come to your house and spank you and make you do it. You have to do it on your own each and every day. You have to make that decision. And then a year from now, when you go back and get your bone scan, and your doctor's like, my goodness, that Actonil really worked good. Boy, your bone density is way better. You can either tell him or not. It's up to you. You can keep it to yourself if you want to. Yes. Who else had a question? Yes, ma'am.
What would be the ideal amount of protein per person? Would that be by weight or how would you do that?
There are calculations for how much protein should I eat. But what I have found and what every other animal on planet Earth has found is that when you're hungry, if you eat meat and eggs, fatty meat, just like it comes, don't trim the fat, eat the yolk with the egg. If you'll eat that until you're comfortably stuffed and then stop eating, and you do that 2 or 3 times a day, guess what you get? Just the right amount of protein for you. Your appetite is not there just to foul you up and betray you. That's not what your appetite's for. Now, if you're eating junk food, it will absolutely betray you and mess you up. But if you're eating real human food, your appetite is actually a signal to you. And so if you're hungry shortly after eating what you thought was a meal with enough protein, there wasn't enough protein in that. Because protein is very satiating, meaning it makes you full and keeps you full for hours. And so if you eat, and a lot of people think, oh, I need to portion control because I'm trying to lose weight, right? I got to eat just a little bit of this and 4 ounces of it. No. What did I say? When you're hungry, eat. And keep eating until you are comfortably stuffed. That's how you get the signal, is hunger. Ooh, I'm hungry. Just like me and Nisha, we went to cookout. And she got 3 hamburger patties, and I got 5 hamburger patties. And I'm full, and I'll be full till in the morning. I ate meat and nothing else. Can you believe that? That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But meat is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. It's also the fat and the protein in a burger that's 70-30 or 80-20. Keeps you full for hours and hours and hours. Where if you went and got the rice and the tortilla, the low fat-free, you'd be hungry again in 2 hours. That's not your body betraying you. That's your body saying, hey, dummy, you didn't eat enough protein. That's what that is. When you go to the Chinese restaurant and you're hungry 2 hours later, it's because it was all carbs and all sugar, and now it's all gone. And it didn't disappear. It turned into fat. Now it's on your butt. Okay? That's what happens when you eat too many carbs. But when you eat enough protein and fat, you get full, you stay full, and you've got enough protein to make your bones stronger, and you've got enough protein to help build your muscle mass back. See how it all works together? It's kind of interesting. It's almost like it was designed that way, if you think about it. Yes, sir.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, yes.
In our weight loss clinic, we often find it's helpful in the beginning to at least set a minimum protein goal to kind of help people get there. So we will do about 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of ideal body weight. So not the weight you are right now, but the weight that you want to be. And that's set for your minimum. Because what I find is when people hit that minimum every day, they start to feel more satiated and they're letting go of more of the junk food just by focusing on that protein and trying to hit that minimum.
Yep.
So while I don't encourage strict tracking of macros and aiming to hit a goal every day just because it's a goal, sometimes it's better to have that minimum amount set, and it's somewhere between 0.8 and 1 gram per kilogram of ideal body weight.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Are net carbs a good guideline, or is that just more?
No, that's so.
No.
Everybody's heard of keto. Has anybody not heard of the keto diet? Everybody's heard of it, right? So when keto became very popular, everybody was suddenly aware, oh, it's the carbohydrates I eat that make me gain weight or keep me from losing weight. So the people who make keto cakes and keto cookies and keto candy bars, and right, they thought, let's talk about net carbs instead of total carbs, because then we can put on the front of the package only 3 grams of net carbs. That's good. That's low carb. That'll help me. But if you look at the back, 18 grams total carbs. All those carbs count. So if you're trying to lose fat, you're going to count total carbs, not net carbs, and you're going to keep your total carbs under 20 to 30 grams a day. If you do that, you will be in ketosis for most of the day, and you will start to burn your stored fat for energy and other things. And that's how you lose fat. Because when people say, I want to lose weight, they don't mean I want to lose muscle. They don't mean I want to lose bone strength. They mean I want to lose this damn fat. And the way you lose fat is to keep your carbohydrate intake very, very low, under 20 to 30 for most people. Some people have to go even lower than that. Now, I'll tell you all a little secret about me. I used to weigh 297 pounds, and I used to be pre-diabetic. And I used everything I'm telling you tonight to get down to currently 220, which I'm very happy with. I don't care if I lose any more. And a normal A1C, completely reversed the pre-diabetes. And we've seen this work in tens upon tens of thousands of people. So this is no longer, oh, keto's a fad, carnivore's a fad. No, it's not a fad. In fact, if you look back in the history of nutrition, about every 20 years, starting in the 1820s, some doctor would stumble upon either a meat-only diet or a very low-carb diet, and they'd write a book about it. Some of y'all probably remember Dr. Atkins, Diet Revolution, remember that? He was just the latest guy that said, hey, man, when you really cut out the carbs, people lose weight like crazy. But there was a doctor 20 years before that, 20 years before that. But back then, we didn't have a secret weapon that we have today. You know what the secret weapon is? Social media. Because that doctor lived in a town, even if it was New York City, the only people that ever heard about his diet was the people who lived in that neighborhood. And then when he died, the concept died. And then we would start all over again selling the carbohydrates to everybody, making everybody fat. And then 20 years later, another doctor would discover. And that's all I've done is I've just rediscovered this thing that doctors have discovered 100 times in the past. But now I've got Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok even. I'm on TikTok. Can you believe that? So that this message now will never die again. Everybody gets a chance to hear it and to use it to optimize their health.
Now, my first knee-jerk reaction was just no across the board, but I do think there could be a place for some net carbs.
Okay.
So when I was actively losing weight, I was strictly by total carbs. Now that I'm in weight maintenance, if I want to indulge a little bit here and there,
Yep.
I will do a low net carb product. I don't have
As an occasional
as an
treat.
occasional
Yeah, sure.
thing. It is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
something that I do daily unless I'm being really bad.
Yeah.
But I try not to do it daily. If you have conditions that would require you to always be in ketosis, no, low net carbs are not going to keep you in ketosis for those levels. Like if you have a seizure disorder or something like that, then you're going to stay in ketosis. But if you're at maintenance and you're feeling good and you occasionally want to have a low carb treat, it does not set you off to go eat 10 more low carb treats afterwards. I think that's generally okay.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about sweeteners, which ones, even if they don't have carbs, they trigger something?
Maybe in some
What's your
people.
favorite? Well, you don't use any.
I don't really use any sweeteners anymore, and that's coming from a guy with a sweet tooth times 10. Dessert was my favorite part of the meal, but I have basically retrained myself to the point where sweet things just don't appeal to me anymore. But if you're going to have a sweet thing, I would use stevia or monk fruit or allulose. They seem to be the least bad. And the allulose, there are some doctors now saying that there may even be maybe some benefits from using allulose as your sweetener. I personally think the jury's still out on that. Some people, when they have something sweet in their mouth, it will raise their insulin, and that will turn off their weight loss. Some people cannot burn fat if their insulin's high. It just turns it off. And so if you gain weight really easily, you probably need to work on just eliminating all the sweeteners. You don't have to do it today. Just relax. You don't have to do it right now. But over the course of the next month or two, just keep weaning down the sweeteners. I like to get the stevia drops. That's how I wean down. And so I started out putting 25 drops in every cup of coffee. And then it was 20, then it was 15, then it was 12, then it was 10. And finally one day I just forgot to put any in there. I'm like, that's fine. Tastes good to me. And so I just don't use any anymore. But not everybody can do that. Probably not everybody has to do that. But you never know when the next big study is going to come out. Oh my God, allulose causes butt crack cancer. You never know. Any day a study could come out. And so if you've already weaned down to where you don't hardly use any sweeteners, you're going to say, I don't care. I don't use that anyway. But if you're still having a sweet treat every meal, but it's sugar-free, then you're going to be like, oh no, I better go get my butt crack checked to make sure I don't have cancer. Right? So I would just encourage everybody to minimize sweeteners because this is an ancestrally appropriate diet. And if you go back in time far enough, people would live their whole life and they would have had something that tasted sweet maybe 10 times in their whole life. Maybe they found a honey tree once, maybe the blueberries got ripe and there wasn't a bear eating them, so they could actually get a few. It was super rare that you had something sweet in your mouth. What you had on a daily basis was meat, eggs, and if you lived by a river or the ocean, you had fish and crustaceans and shellfish. That's what our ancestors ate every day of their life. And if they found a honey tree, rest assured, they wore it out. But that happened once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime, right? It wasn't a daily thing. We've been trained, you've been propagandized to think I need something sweet at the end of each meal. That's a habit. It's a myth. They make money because you think that. Maybe you don't believe it, but you do it every meal, don't you? Why do you do that? Ask yourself that next time you're like, well, what am I going to have for dessert? Why do you think you need dessert? Why are you doing that? It doesn't have any nutritional value. Food. What's your definition of food? That's very important. Because Wendy's and McDonald's and Burger King would love for you to believe in their definition of what food is. They make way more money at Kraft and Kellogg's and Post and General Mills. They make way more money if you will believe in their definition of food. But my definition of food is way different from what theirs is.
I would specifically avoid aspartame, and I did a YouTube video on that about a month or so ago, just about the cardiovascular implications, and it does show that it does increase insulin. So I've sworn that one off. I'm also very leery about Splenda doing the same thing that aspartame does. And so allulose is my number one go-to, followed by monk fruits, my second if I utilize them. But for sure, aspartame I would stay away from.
How many of you guys know that most Splenda, the name brand Splenda, has sugar in it? Did you know that? Flip it around, read the back. It says whatever the chemical is, because it's made in a chemical factory. And dextrose. What is dextrose? It's glucose. It's just they use the British name for it to try to trick you. Dextrose is what they call it. We call it glucose. It's the same exact thing. It's sugar. Splenda, and it'll say 0 calorie. That's a lie. The federal government lets them lie because if one serving size has less than 1/2 of a gram of carbs, they can say 0 sugar, even though it literally says sugar on the ingredients. Okay? So I would encourage you not to ever eat or drink any sweetener that was made in a chemical factory. Does everybody think that's a good common sense rule? Probably you shouldn't ever eat or drink anything that was made in a chemical factory where people wear hazmat suits and wear meters to make sure they're not getting exposed to too much. That seems like a good common sense country boy rule. Is eat food that either grows in the dirt or ran around and grazed on what grew from the dirt, or swim in the river or swim in the ocean. That's real food. If it was literally made in a chemical factory that's got the little hazard triangle on certain sections of the factory, that's probably not real human food.
Do you want to see if there's an online question?
Yeah, do we have any good online questions?
A couple.
Okay.
Is wild game or fatty beef better for the proper human diet? Is fat what really matters?
Fat is one of the things that really, really matters. Now, wild game, I grew up eating rabbits and squirrels and venison and wild turkey. And also, I don't think I've ever had a possum, but rattlesnake for sure. But any wild game is fine. Anything that your ancestors would have chased down and killed and cooked, that's food, okay? If it runs, crawls, slithers, flies, it's food. Okay, if it's a snake, just don't eat the poison glands. Eat the rest, eat from the neck back, not the hip, the neck forward, right? So, but venison's too lean. There's actually a thing, people in the past would just live on rabbits. And rabbits are almost fat-free. And you get something called rabbit starvation. You heard of that? Yeah. And that's because the human body requires fat. We are the fattiest of all the primates. Not because we eat too much, but because that's how we're designed. is to have a layer of subcutaneous fat. Nobody's really sure exactly why. There's a couple of theories and hypotheses. But fat is essential. If you try to eat just nothing but skinless, boneless chicken breast or rabbit or venison, you'll eventually get sick and suffer, and you could die from that because fat is essential for optimal health. It's not optional. It's essential. And so if you're going to cook wild game, wrap it in bacon. Cook it in bacon grease, put some butter on top of it. Then you got enough protein.
Mix it with your beef.
Or mix it with your beef. Yeah, we do that a lot. Nisha's dad's a big hunter, and he brings on wild turkey and venison, and we'll take the venison and mix it 50-50 with just 70-30 hamburger. It's delicious, and now you've got the fat that your body needs.
And if you don't like the gamey taste of venison, it kind of counteracts
Knocks
that
the
a
edge
little
off
bit,
that.
so you just
Yep.
don't taste it as much.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a fat question.
Okay.
I've got a good friend that's trying to do this, and she says try it as she may, she cannot eat fat. She says she gags, she's gonna lose it if she eats the fat. She wants to know, can she use butter as the replacement? Because she loves the ribeyes, but she trims the fat.
And now tell your friend. So she got a friend who's trying to do carnivore or keto?
Yeah,
Carnivore. But the fat on the steak just grosses her out. It makes her gag. She just currently is the key word here. She currently can't. She just can't. She's been brainwashed her whole life. Probably, I guarantee if you talk to her mama, she's like, oh yeah, we always trim the fat off. We never ate the fat. That's from a little girl. She was taught, you don't eat the fat. Fat's gross. That's not just something she knows. That's something she believes, right? And it's going to take a while for her to undo that. So butter is absolutely perfection. It is an animal fat. It is the fat from milk, right? And so they got rid of the sugar from the milk. They got rid of the protein from the milk. It just kept the fat. That's what butter is. So yeah, put butter on it. Absolutely. Cook in butter. Totally fine. But tell her that Dr. Perry said that every now and then I want her when the fat is, crispy because it's been just cooked just right, to just try just a little bite every now and then, because I promised her that one day she's going to go, that's pretty good. I think I'm going to have another bite of that. And then she's off to the races, and she'll be eating the fat.
Yeah, I used to be the girl that would trim all the fat off of my ribeye and eat the meat in the middle. She has to stop that pattern too. Eat the fat with the meat at the same time. Because if you're just trying to put the fat string in there, it feels off and wrong at first. But if you're having it with the meat the way it came naturally, it tastes completely different. The salt also makes the fat even more yummier to include it that way. But yeah, stop cutting it off and trying to eat it separate. Eat it together.
I got a salt question.
Okay.
If I'm eating one meal a day, I'm not getting enough salt. My last blood work showed my sodium is low. Can I put salt in my water every glass to get
Yep.
enough?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
So she eats one meal a day, carnivore, and her sodium was a little low in her last lab work. So keep in mind that the majority of the water our ancestors drank was full of minerals and higher in sodium than the water. Water we have now is just the H and the 2 and the O. That's it. But the water they drink was river water, was spring water, was from deep under the ground. It was full of minerals, including sodium. And also, many of our ancestors did not drain the animal after they killed it. They ate the blood too, which is rich in sodium. Now, some people are a little averse to eating blood. Some people, for religious reasons, they don't eat blood. And that's fine, because you can just add salt. You can put salt in your water, or you can buy something like Element, which is an electrolyte that has lots of sodium and chloride. Salty is another one that has lots of that stuff as well, plus magnesium and potassium. But yeah, you can actually get around that. If you don't want to eat the blood and you don't want to drink water out of the pond, you can just add salt to your food, but then also add salt to your water as well. Absolutely. But keep in mind, everybody, this is very important that you leave here tonight understanding this. You've got to eat plenty of protein, or you will get sick and suffer and eventually die prematurely. There's inarguable. You have to get enough fat in your diet, and it needs to be animal fat. If you do not get enough fat, you will have medical problems. Okay? The whole fat-free business is ridiculous, because if I came to your house and I locked you in the garage and I fed you nothing but just chicken breast, that's it, nothing else. You eat all you want, eat 10 times a day. After a few weeks, a few months, you would get fatigued. You would start to get mentally foggy. You wouldn't be able to think straight, and you would get sicker and sicker and sicker, and you would die prematurely because you were eating a truly fat-free diet. It is super unhealthy for human beings. And the other thing you need is obviously water, of course, but salt. Salt is essential. Salt is not bad for you. Salt does not cause high blood pressure. Salt is essential for human life. It is essential for optimal function. You have to have protein, fat, water, and salt. Those are the things that you have to have. And then all the vitamins and minerals and fatty acids and amino acids that come with that. That's a complete human diet. That's a proper human diet. You're not adding anything you don't need. You're not adding anything that causes inflammation or causes you to gain weight or causes your blood sugar to go up. You're just eating the things that are essential that you need.
I think there's a lot of confusion with the salt stuff, just because if you're eating the standard American diet, if you're eating a diet that is high in carbohydrates, you're going to retain more of your salt and your sodium, and then it can lead to high blood pressure.
Right.
But if you're not eating that standard diet, you're eating the more ancestral appropriate diet, then you're shedding salt. You shed it more easily, and that is not going to lead to hypertension. So, if you're out there and you have not changed your ways yet, absolutely, you have to kind of watch those things because you're recirculating and retaining that. But if you're already eating keto, carnivore, ketovore, absolutely you need more salt.
Yep. Who's got a question? You got a question? No? Okay.
Online?
Question? Anything online?
Most of your people are just hanging out.
Okay.
A lot of people are excited about this cookie Nashville.
Come up here, Chris, and say hi. Come up here. Actually, you can come too. You're the better looking of the two.
Talk about that.
Right.
Tell them the wife says hello.
The wife says hello.
Just come stand near us.
Say hi.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good.
She's definitely the better looking one.
That's right.
He cooks better than me, though. That's true.
Something like that. So I was sitting back here. You were talking about trying to figure out how to eat beef fat, because I struggled with that when I went carnivore the first time, because I was one of those guys that was used to cutting off all the fat. If you trim the fat off the beef before you cook it, and you put it in an air fryer, and you fry it till it's crispy, it's like a beef flavored potato chip. And that's a really great way to get extra fat back in on that beef. I do it all the time. It's fantastic.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. So this guy's got a great YouTube channel with keto and carnivore recipes that I highly recommend. He's also in our private community that people can subscribe to if they choose. You do cooking videos, you do tutorials, you answer questions, all that. And I love your channel, and I love your style, and I love your wife.
Well,
I also love your wife.
Yeah, right?
That's right.
I love her
my
too.
wife.
Yes, sir.
And we absolutely love you guys very, very much. We had hoped to bring a group of people with us today, because we have a number of people we're actually trying to help mentor with getting started in keto and carnivore. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come, but hopefully the next time we'll be able to bring them. But we really wanted to come and support, because if you guys have not heard, if you've never seen my channel, you don't know anything about me, I used to be about 400 pounds, and I still have extra weight to lose, but it's working, and my body is healing. But I used to be about 400 pounds. I had anxiety. I had depression. I did not get off the couch, and I discovered a guy named Dr. Ken Berry and his wife, Nurse Nisha. And I started implementing all of the things that I was learning that Dr. Berry talks about on the YouTube channel. And I would listen to his videos like a podcast when I was at my day job. And I just started doing all the things that he said to do. I've lost about 130 pounds.
Tell them about all the supplements that you had to buy from me and all the programs you had to buy from me.
Yes. So I went not at all bankrupt by buying nothing from Dr. Berry, and I used all of his free information to lose 130 pounds, reverse my anxiety, my depression, save my life. And now I just do everything I can. Actually, the reason I started a YouTube channel is because I took him seriously when he said, if you have a story to tell and you want to thank me for the work I've done, go out and tell somebody else. So I started a YouTube channel and now that's what I do full time. So
Pretty cool, right?
yeah.
And
You
how
guys
many
can all do
subscribers
this.
do you have now?
We're up to 127,000 subscribers right now. So yeah, so it's, and I know you guys are all like, I don't run a YouTube channel, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. Cool. Take the information he's giving you, go talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors, talk to your pastor, talk to your doctor. I actually have a copy of Lies My Doctor Told Me sitting at home, and I'm just waiting for that opportunity when I have a doctor say, well, you need to eat low fat, you need to cut out all of this red meat, so I can go, have you read this book? Because it's really fantastic. So yeah, the reason that I am who I am today and that I honestly am even here, I think, is because of everything that Dr. Berry has that's out there, and it's all for free. So you guys, seriously, like, do this, and maybe you're the next Chris Cook in Nashville. I don't know.
What's the channel again?
Chris Cooking Nashville.
Chris Cooking Nashville.
Chris
That's it.
with a C or Chris with a K? You
Chris
gotta
with
be
a
specific.
C. Chris with a C. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, you guys just come find me online if you're trying to do carnivore or keto or any of that kind of stuff, and you're like, I can't imagine giving up all of this stuff that I love. That's what I do. I'm the gateway drug to carnivore. So, if you're struggling with that idea of meat and eggs, I just try to help as many people as I can with that stuff. And it's all everything Dr. Berry has taught me. So,
And it's some people really need that, because for me, I can just fry 2 pounds of ground beef and put 6 egg yolks in, stir it up, put some salt on it, and I can eat that every day, all day, every day, and that's totally fine with me. Some people, however, are like, that sucks. I don't want to eat that every day for the rest of my life. That's where Chris Cook in Nashville comes in, because some of the stuff he makes, if you could find it at a $150 a plate restaurant, it's that good. His recipes are crazy good. And so if you're like, no, I need some variety and I need some flavors, Chris Cook in Nashville. But if you just want some ground beef and some egg yolks stirred up and fried, and you can come to my house. That's what I have every day. Thank you, Chris, very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Ashley, very much.
So in September, we do this lovely event. Well, it's usually in August, but this year it's going to be in September. It's called Low Carb for Better Health. If you've ever attended Low Carb for Better Health, let me see you. I know a couple people have. Yes, this will be our 4th year.
Is it 4th
It's
year?
our 4th year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the last 2 years we have sold out our tickets. We've got amazing speakers coming. He's going to speak. I'm just the MC, so you get to hear me a lot, but I'm not doing a specific talk. It's at Montgomery Bell State Park, which is a beautiful state park here in Middle Tennessee, September 12th and 13th. This year we have Dr. Philip Ovadia, who's a heart doctor, Dr. David Diamond, who is a lipidologist. Let's see who else we
Is
got.
Cucuzella coming?
Dr. Mark Cucuzella is coming
Family
back.
medicine.
Andrea Salcido.
Yeah, Andrea Salcido is coming. She's a
Robert
gynecologist. We also have Keto Savage, who is a bodybuilder who uses the ketogenic diet.
Any of you ladies who like men with muscles,
He's got lots of muscles.
Robert Sykes, Keto Savage. He's
His
going to be
wife
there.
also has muscles, so.
And he'll probably take his shirt off. I don't know.
I don't
maybe.
know about that.
He might.
He is leading a exercise class teaching people how to use body weight to build muscles. There's also a guided hike in the park that Dr. Cucuzella is going to be doing,
Love
and
it.
Keto 5.0. If anyone knows Keto 5.0, he's going to be helping on that guided hike that's there. We have Tracy McBeef. She is a health coach that comes not from the U.S., but
She's
she's
from
going to be.
Australia? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
Australia,
that's right.
either there or South Africa.
Maybe South Africa.
Maybe South
yeah.
Africa.
It's a long way off.
Yeah, Autumn Weathers is going to be there again. She brings a great message of health and just fun. She's just a fun
She's
person
fun.
to
She
be
makes
around.
great T-shirts too.
She does make really great T-shirts, and the T-shirt design. Have you seen it yet for this year?
Uh-huh.
It's pretty awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the theme is take charge. It's got a fist that's holding a lightning bolt, and it's got the little emblem under it. So pretty cool one. So you can get that. You can find information about the conference at lc4bh.com. It'll take you right to the link for housing. Housing's not the right word. Lodging
Lodging?
and tickets. Housing
Whatever
sounds more
it is.
college right, but it's not housing. It's lodging. But it's a great event, and I hope everyone can join us there.
Yep. And remember, keto is not a fad diet. Keto is meat and vegetables. the right vegetables. That's literally what keto is. You know that keto bread at the grocery store? That's not keto. That's marketing. That's propaganda. They're trying to get your $4. That's all that is. Keto is meat, eggs with the yolk, fish if you like it, low carb vegetables, a few berries, a few nuts. That's keto. Okay?
No bread at all? No, I mean, no kind of bread at all?
Do you love bread?
I like toast in the morning.
Yeah. So bread has no meaningful nutrition in it whatsoever. Bread is a 100% pleasure food. Other people would look at it as a poverty food. If you can't afford real food, the master will give you some bread because it'll keep your belly full, but it's not going to nourish you in any way. Bread is not a health food. Even whole grain bread with seeds on top. That's not a health food. Okay? When you're chewing up bread, it's turning into sugar in your mouth even before you swallow it. Bread is sugar. Potatoes are sugar. Corn is sugar. Rice is sugar. You don't believe me? You can look it up. Okay? Meat, eggs, and fish if you like it. That's proper human nutrition. That's a proper human diet. Don't ever be misled.
Bread is also one of the most inflammatory foods out there. Wheat is just full of gluten, which is very inflammatory. It disrupts the endocrine system. It holds more glyphosate, which is chemicals that are treated in our grounds to make the weeds not grow there. I can say that every client that I've worked with an inflammatory condition, which in reality is every client that I've ever worked with has some level of inflammation, but specifically like thyroid inflammation, autoimmune conditions like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, any inflammatory condition, when we remove wheat completely, they all see improvement. Even acid reflux, it's messing up your stomach, it's keeping things inflamed there. And even these keto products, they say keto on them, but if you look, they're still made with wheat. It's still in there, and it's just so inflammatory and bad.
Chris Cookie Nashville, do you have a carnivore bread recipe?
I sure do.
I thought you did.
Carnivore bread. There you go. So a lot of people are really, there's been a lot of news stories lately about microplastics and nanoplastics, right? Guess, I'm going to give you choices and you tell me which has more microplastics. A bowl of cereal or ground beef. Which has more microplastics in it? By definition, by the way it's made, the manufacturing process. Bowl of cereal, 100%. What about 2 slices of your toast versus cheap ground beef? Which has more microplastics? Your toast, I'm sorry. What about glyphosate? Anybody worried about trying to minimize glyphosate intake? So glyphosate is a herbicide. It's Roundup, right? A lot of news stories, huge billion-dollar lawsuits being settled because it obviously causes cancer, even though Bayer and Monsanto would like for you to believe it doesn't cause cancer. So which one has more glyphosate or Roundup in it? Two pieces of your toast or cheap ground beef? 100%. Bowl of cereal, cheap ground beef, or bacon and eggs. Which has more glyphosate? Cereal, 100%. If you want to minimize your plastic intake, no anything that's ground to a powder like wheat is, or rice, or corn, or millet, or any grain, that's going to be full of microplastics. And all of those crops are sprayed with Roundup. And do you think they get each little wheat kernel down and rinse it in a really good and get the glyphosate? No. As long as the glyphosate concentration is below a certain level, it's totally fine to go right down the conveyor belt at the factory. So yeah, anytime you're eating any kind of grain, you're eating glyphosate, which many experts would say you're eating way too much glyphosate. Just keep that in mind.
I don't know if you've seen this sign or not, but I was coming out of Jackson going south. I can't remember if it was 45 or 70. Have you seen the sign that says?
Yeah. I took a picture of it.
Okay.
So there's a billboard on the interstate that says something to the effect of if glyphosate goes away, all the farmers will starve to death.
Yeah, I think it actually said the price of food will double.
Right. So, and you'll starve to death because you can't afford food. So that's paid for by the Bayer company because they were trying to get a law passed in Tennessee that if somebody developed cancer from using Roundup, they couldn't sue the company for civil damages. And they almost got that law passed. That's one of the bills I actually went to Nashville and testified against. And it got postponed to next year, so it's going to come up again next year. Yeah, and if nobody's paying attention, guess what they'll do? They'll slide that right through. And that'll be a law. And then when you get cancer from using Roundup in your yard, because it says on there, it's obviously they sold it at Lowe's, how dangerous can it be? When you develop cancer, you cannot sue them in civil court. You're just screwed. That's the kind of stuff that big food and big chemical and big ag and big pharma, that's the kind of stuff, that's the shenanigans they pull.
It's already outlawed in other countries.
Oh, honey,
So they already have solutions.
if you spray your corn or your rice or oats or wheat with glyphosate in the Great Britain, you can't even sell it in the market. It's illegal to sell. You will go to prison if you sell that for people to eat. In Europe, in Italy, in France, in Germany, if you sell that wheat that you spray glyphosate on and you get caught, you will go to prison. It is illegal and these are not backward countries, right? These are very intelligent people. And they're like, yeah, no, you're not putting that in the food supply. But here in America, the company that makes Roundup is trying to get a law slid through in each state of the country so you can't sue them when their cancer-causing chemical causes you to have cancer. Think that through. Does that sound like something your friends would do? They're not your friends. Big food's not your friends. Big pharma's not your friends. They just want your money. If you would just hand them your wallet, that'd be the best way. They'd be the happiest with that. But they're happy to get it one copay at a time and one, $5 at a time for a box of cereal that's got glyphosate in it, or $5 for a loaf of bread that's got glyphosate. They're happy to get it that way too, but they just want your money. That's the end of the story.
I read the book, Wheat Belly Diet, by
Yep.
Dr. William Davis. What do you say about when he's talking about, making bread beer, say the flax, gluten-free flour, almond flour?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say into that?
So so Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis. I read the book years ago. I'm a fan of his. We're friends on social media. I've talked to him before. The bread that he advocates is less bad than the bread she eats. But being less bad does not make it good, right? It is less bad, yes. It has less glyphosate, it has less gluten, but it still has all the carbohydrates. And when you're chewing up bread, what does it turn into? Sugar. Even his bread, it's carbohydrates. All grains are made of starch. Wheat, rice, oats, corn, starch. What does starch break down into? It's made of sugar, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to lower your blood sugar, there is no such thing as healthy bread. But now, if you're trying to gain weight, eat all the bread, because it'll work. Eat all the cereal, eat all the carbohydrates, eat all the stuff. That'll help you gain weight, but it's not going to be muscle, is it? It's not going to be bone strength. It's going to be fat, because sugar turns into fat in the human body.
You would even say that, say with flax, ground flax?
Look up how many grams of carbohydrate flax flour has. It's almost as much as wheat flour. Carbohydrates from flax are made of starch. Starch breaks down into sugar. That's a lot of people get off in this like, it's this modern wheat. You've heard this? It's this modern GMO wheat. If you eat einkorn wheat or emmer wheat, ancient wheat, then that's fine. That's good for you. Or if you eat the wheat from Europe because it doesn't have glyphosate, then that's fine. That wheat will make you just as fat because it's got starch that breaks down into sugar. If you fatten easily, bread just needs to be off the menu. Now, if you're skinny as a rail, you can eat the bread. That's probably fine. It might cause inflammation. It's going to cause, but you'll be inflamed and skinny, right? But if you fatten easily, or if your blood sugar goes up easily, you got prediabetes or type 2 or type 1, bread is sugar. Rice is sugar. Corn is sugar. Oatmeal. Quaker with the hat.
It's going to do my heart good.
What are oats full of? Carbohydrates, starch, breaks down into sugar. Anybody, if you've got a glucometer, in the morning, go eat a big bowl of rolled oats. I don't mean that instant oats. I mean the oats you got to cook for 3 days. And then 30 minutes later, check your blood sugar. Check it before and check it after. And you'll be like, holy crap, it's sugar. Yes, oatmeal is sugar. It does have fiber. It does have, yeah, it's got fiber, sure. But it's full of sugar. And it's going to raise your blood sugar. It's going to cause you to store fat. That's just basic physiology. Now, Quaker would love for you to believe that I'm full of crap, and they'd love for you to have a big steaming bowl of rolled oats every day, because that makes them money. But I want to help you reverse your type 2 diabetes, and I want to help you get an ideal body weight, and I want you to not be inflamed, and I don't want any of your money. Because I know when Chris was up here talking, sometimes when you hear the stories of people eating keto and carnivore, it sounds like an Amway presentation, or a Tupperware sales pitch, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just transformed my life, and only for the low cost 3 equal installments. No, ain't nobody wants your money. We're just so happy we found something that now I'm not 297 pounds. And I'm not a full-blown type 2 diabetic, and I don't have to take 2 Nexium a day for my heartburn. I just want to share that with everybody. Plus, I'm a doctor. That's kind of what I'm supposed to do, isn't it? Is help people get healthier. It's kind of my job. But I'm happy to do it on YouTube, and I'm happy to not charge you a copay to do it. I'm happy to do that. Because I love to hear stories like Chris. Chris used to be 400 pounds. He'd have to turn sideways to come in that door. He was a big boy. Did not feel good at all. Did not feel good. Anxiety. Down in the dumps. Achy. Junky. Yucky. Yeah. Now, this man, his wife can't hardly keep up with him.
True that.
Just saying. And I'm giving you everything that helped him for the low, low price of $0. But you the one got to go home and watch some YouTube videos and ask some questions. Try this, try that. Do you love vegetables? Who loves just God heavy vegetables? And I don't mean potatoes, damn it. Yeah, you like that. Okay. So meat heavy keto. Keto is perfect for you. But you're not going to buy a single thing at the store that says keto on the label, because that's a trick. Keto is meat, low carb vegetables, a few nuts, a few berries. That's keto, right? Keto. I got hundreds of videos about keto. You can watch it for free. Who could just live on meat and eggs the rest of your life? That's totally fine with you. 100%. Yeah. Carnivore. I got over 100 videos about carnivore on my YouTube channel. You can watch it for free. Now, if you want to join our community, you can. It's optional. If you want to get a free copy of the Proper Human Diet Guidebook, you can. It's on there. You click on it. I'll email you a free copy. But if you don't want to spend a penny with me, you don't have to spend a penny. And you can literally transform your health like I've done, like Chris did, like Amanda did. Who else in here has had a significant change in their health? What's got better for you?
Well, I've lost about 40 pounds.
Who needs to lose 40 pounds? Just saying.
My energy level is through the roof.
Who needs a little energy? Okay.
My immunity is through the roof.
Don't get sick very
I'm
often.
around sickly, just like Amanda, my Amanda. Kids, school kids.
Improved immunity. Who needs a little of that? Now, let me ask you, sir, are you a doctor?
No.
Are you a registered dietitian?
No.
Are you a research scientist?
No.
How in the hell did you figure out how to do this then? He's literally healed conditions that doctors couldn't do. How do you do that? Simple principles. The principles.
Looking forward, a couple months, 3 months from now, I get to see my cardiologist. I'm ready.
I love it. Nisha, did you want to?
No, I was just saying you act like I didn't have a
You got
transformation.
better.
I live with you.
Oh, that's true, yeah. But I don't want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story.
You know, I think the point of all this is, it's not your fault that you got to where you are, but it is your problem. It is your responsibility to deal with it.
Ain't nobody gonna fix it for you.
Yeah, and
Your
don't-
doctor is never gonna fix it, unless it's a mental.
Unless it's me. But don't internalize these conditions. Just because you have diabetes doesn't mean you are a diabetic forever and ever and ever. Don't make it your identity to be that sick person. Make it your identity to be that well person, and make it your priority to fix your condition.
Mhm. I love that. You're not a fat person. You're not a diabetic. You're not a hypertensive. You're not a Crohn's patient. You're not an ulcerative colitis patient. You're not a psych patient. Those are identities. You just happen to have these things right now. But these things can be reversed. In many cases, reversed almost completely, almost like you don't even have it. You don't have any symptoms anymore. That's what you can do with enough diligent research, watching videos, reading books. But you got to want it. You got to be like, you got to say, I want that. I want it. That's worth more to me than my toast. Right? And some people might say, no, I'd rather have my damn toast, and that's fine. We'll still love you. But you still gonna have what you got now.
Well, I have to check out his.
Yes, check out Chris's carnivore bread. Yes, sir.
Talk about farm-raised seafood.
Yeah, so currently much of the seafood that you buy is farmed, which just basically means they put a huge net out in the ocean and keep the fish in there and feed them. And so that fish so here's an important thing to understand about that, farmed fish. Is it less healthy than wild caught fish? Yes. Does that make it unhealthy? Because that's two different things. Less healthy, yes, it's less good for you than if you went out and caught a wild salmon. That's definitely better for you. But is it unhealthy? And my answer would be absolutely not. Absolutely. It's still good for you, just not as good as wild caught. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's just like if you take a cow, like my sheep in my pasture running around, I move them to a new pasture every 2 or 3 days. They got fresh grass. They're happy and beautiful. And they have one bad day right there at the end. And then they're in my freezer. Right? But they have a wonderful life. But they eat sheep. They eat what sheep are supposed to eat their whole life. Now, if you took that same sheep and put it in a feedlot and fed it corn and wheat and leftover Jolly Ranchers, that sheep would be less good for you, but it would still be good for you. But it wouldn't be as good for you as my sheep. Does that make sense? It's all about, so if you took that sheep that it literally had fed it Jolly Ranchers, nothing else, just Jolly Ranchers, and then I would say, hey, these lamb chops from that sheep, are they better for you or a bowl of Fruit Loops? You see my point? It's all about degrees. Maybe it's not as good as this grass finished, but it's still way the hell better than anything else you can buy at the supermarket.
They're wild caught Fruit Loops.
Well, that's right. Maybe they're organic, non-GMO wild caught Fruit Loops. Right. One last question. Anybody? Who's got it?
You mentioned not so long ago something about someone was going to send you some sausages,
Mm.
brats. Have you had to evaluate those?
So a guy reached out to me on Twitter who makes sausages and stuff, and because sausage and hot dogs and bologna, they're supposed to have meat, and they're supposed to have organs, and they're supposed to have all the stuff, because you're not supposed to want to see the sausage be made, because it's supposed to have all kinds of pig parts in it. But now it's just 100% meat. They don't put the organs anymore. And I said, he reached out to me because I said something on a YouTube Live, and he said, yeah, we can make that. We can put heart and liver and other stuff too, connective tissue, but it's going to still be delicious. And I said, yeah, mock it up. And so he's going to send me some on dry ice. And if it tastes as good as he says it does, we're going to start selling it probably. But that's still in the works. But that, when used to, you can make hot dogs at home, right? But then the nutritionist will say, oh, hot dogs are junk food.
Processed.
Oh, they're processed. Bacon is processed. You can make bacon at home. Anybody had a granddaddy that literally made bacon at home? How are you going to make junk food at home? That don't even make no sense. But Fruit Loops is heart healthy. But bacon, which is sliced up meat with salt and spices, that's high processed junk food. But if hot dogs, are hot dogs a junk food? What are they made of? Now, some of them put a lot of sugar in it, but if it's just meat, salt, and spices, where's the junk? But if somebody catches you feeding this baby hot dogs, they'll be like. But if she took the same baby and fed that baby Cheerios, they'd be like, she's mom of the year. Even though Cheerios are just literally nothing but sugar and glyphosate. That's literally what Cheerios are.
And plastic.
And microplastics. But if you fed her a hot dog, people will give you this eye. But if you fed that baby Cheerios, everybody be like, that's good, that's good. You see how backwards and upside down we are? Our whole society. And it's because we've been advertised to. And our mama was advertised to. And our grandmama was advertised to the point where we're the only species of mammal on planet Earth that does not know what the hell it should eat. Think about it. Do you think a lion ever gets confused and eats some broccoli by accident? It's like, hell, I didn't know. I don't think that's ever happened. Or a deer catches a skunk and eats it. Do you think that ever happens? Every other animal on earth knows just what to eat. They know how much to eat. They don't have to weigh or measure or portion. None of them are overweight unless we bring them into our house and feed them kibble, which is made by the big food companies. Then they get fat and get diabetes and go blind. But if they're out in their own natural environment, they know exactly what to eat, how much to eat, when to stop eating. We're so smart. We run the planet and we don't even know how the hell to eat. Think about that. What? So I hope we've given you some food for thought. See what I did there? Because you've been misled. And now it's up to you to leave here tonight and to go home and start thinking about this. Everything that you start to put in your mouth. Maybe your mama used to give you that when you fall and scraped your knee. Does that mean that it's good for you? No. It gives you good feelings, but is it healthy? Is it nutritious? You've always had this for dessert. That's what Mama used to make. Does that mean it's healthy and nutritious? You've got to ask that question. It'll take you about 2 weeks to 2 months to go through the full list and every meal. Now, wait a minute. Is this real? Would people have eat this? Would my great-great-great-great-grandmama, would she eat this or would she go, what is that? That's the kind of question you got to ask until you went through all the things in your pantry and all the things in your fridge. And then you will be just like the wild, uneducated, non-PhD, non-MD animal in the wild. You will once again know what you're supposed to eat as a species. Yes, sir.
So what I hear you saying is sausage that's made from a pig and gone through the process is not necessarily unhealthy, but healthy. And that goes good with eggs.
100%. Bacon, let me be very clear. Let me not equivocate. Bacon is a health food. Bacon is good for you. Did you hear me? Sausage. Now, you got to read the ingredients on sausage because they can slide a little starch or a little sugar. Read the ingredients. Get the lowest carb version of sausage. You can eat sausage every day for the rest of your life, and you will get healthy for doing so.
Well, this is sausage made, this process from an individual
Yep.
that does.
Yep. But watch, he puts a mix in there. Make sure he's got a sugar-free mix. Son, you can have sausage 3 times a day for the rest of your life and get healthier for doing it. That's what I'm talking about. When you start hearing this, you're like, it makes you want to slap somebody. Like, who started all this foolishness? Yes. So thank you very much. What would you like to?
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. If you are in this area and you need a provider, check us out at ClearPath Medical. Contact at clearpathmedical.net. If you are attempting to do keto, carnivore, ketovore, and you're having trouble, you need some help with meal prep, Miss Trisha back here runs Happy Hippie out of McEwen. She does meals that can go in your freezer. So in addition to checking out Chris's channel and learning how to do it at home, if you need some stuff to throw in your freezer, she's a great local option. She makes all of her own food herself. She does not package it or use packaged items for that. Our next event will be early August. I'll be posting that. It'll be in both of these rooms. So I need everybody in here to invite someone else to come. Bring somebody that needs this information. Bring a group of people. This room can hold 120 people, and we would absolutely love to get this message to as many people as we possibly could. So be watching my social media and Dr. Berry's social medias for that date, when I believe it's the first Monday in August, which if it's August the 5th, that would be the date that's there. But at the same time, we're also going to be giving away a copy of Dr. Berry's book, Common Sense Labs. If you have ticket number 281550.
550. All right, we have a
So
winner.
at the end of this, if you would like Dr. Berry to sign it, he will be happy. You're going to be happy to sign it.
I will be happy to sign it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. Check out Low Carb for Better Health. Remember, that's in September. So we've got something in August and in September, but we just want everybody to have the chance to be healthy.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us.
Thank you.